Hi, I'm Rami Al-Khatib, and what I'll be talking about is how computers work. So I'm sure everyone here has at some point in time used a computer before. Whether it's to post photos of your dog on Instagram or do research for a project at school or ghost your ex on Facebook, write a speech on some topic or watch people play games you could easily play yourself. We all know how we can use a computer, but not many of us actually know how a computer works or what is even inside of one. So hopefully by the end of this, you will understand the key components of a computer. And those would be the CPU, the hard drive, RAM, the motherboard, and the power supply. And those would be the basis, as well as the basis of what they do in running a computer. So let's start with the central processing unit, commonly known as the CPU. It is one of the most important parts of the computer, as it can kind of be considered the brain of the computer, as it's where all the processing of the data and information in the entire computer happens. The way it works is that your computer tell your computer what you want it to do, and that'd be in the form of inputs, whether that's from a mouse or a headset or keyboard or a touch screen. And then when you tell it what to do, then the computer will turn those instructions, which are carried through electronic signals, and it'll turn into instructions for the rest of the computer so it knows what it's going to do. Now, a main problem with the CPU is that it's not totally efficient. What I mean is that while all those electrical signals are sent, because they are electrical, they do give off heat. And when the processor is working hard, it can slow down how fast the computer loads and processes everything. That is why computers and other electronic devices generally have fans inside to regulate the temperature of the processors. Because you'll notice a lot of times when you're using your phone, you'll notice that the longer you use it, sometimes it can kind of slow down, especially when you have multiple things processing at the same time. And that is because the CPU can heat up, especially when it's been running for a while or is processing a lot at the same time. So next time you feel your phone is hot, that's why. And now that we know the CPU processes all the information in the computer, there obviously has to be a place where all that information is stored, and that would be the hard drive. The hard drive is another one of the most important parts of a computer, as it stores all the data not currently being used. Emphasis on the not currently being used. A simple way to understand it would be your school locker, as it's where you store all your textbooks, papers, folders, binders, notebooks, and everything you don't currently need. Now, the hard drive is one of the few parts of a computer that's not digital. It's actually mechanical. And because of that, it's slower at loading things, and data on the hard drive is stored in the form of ones and zeros magnetically encoded onto the hard drive, which means it's kind of like a record player, where it kind of spins while it has a thing magnetically encoding all the information you want onto it in the form of ones and zeros. But because of that, like I said, it takes time when you're trying to get that information out. But there's also RAM, which is random access memory. And this could be like the backpack you carry around with you at school, as it carries the things you currently need. RAM, unlike the hard drive, is completely digital. And because of that, it stores and accesses data much faster than the hard drive. But the downside of RAM is that it's like a computer's short-term memory. And when you power off a computer, the RAM is wiped and it's gone. So this could be like writing an essay on Microsoft Word. When you're writing the essay, you'll notice as long as you don't turn off your computer or you don't exit out of Word, you can pull up that essay instantly. You just click on the little Microsoft logo on the bottom and it pulls up your essay. But if you exit out of Word or you turn off your computer, it's gone. But and that would be like RAM. But the way to circumvent that would be saving it onto your computer, saving it onto your files, your documents, whatever. That way, even if you turn off Word or you shut off your computer, once you turn it back on or you open Word back up, you can pull it back up. And it might take a little bit to load it because it's digitally encoded onto the hard drive. It still will load it all up. And that would be the hard drive, how the hard drive works. So, and that brings us, and this brings us to the motherboard, which connects all the components of a computer together. There's a saying in the computer tech world that without the motherboard, there is no computer. And it's actually just that simple. As its entire function is to hold all these crucial components together so that they can communicate between one another. So for analogy, to make all this simple, would be a school campus, IRSC. So if the entire campus is the computer, then all the different buildings would be the different components, whether that's the CPU, the hard drive, the power supply, and all that. But all the paths, sidewalks, and roads connecting everything together would be the motherboard. Now, while all of these parts of the computer are important, there is one thing that a computer cannot do without, and that would be power. Without a power supply, the computer wouldn't even be able to turn on. Every electrical device, whether it be your PC, your laptop, your phone, your tablet, your TV, any other electrical device, needs some form of power to run. Whether it has a battery, like most laptops or your phone, or it needs a constant power connection, like a computer, which is physically plugged into the wall. It needs some form of power to run. And another analogy for this could be like a city. The power supply can be considered the power plants, the power lines, the electrical cables, and all of that. And in closing, if you were to put all these parts together, you would have a majority of what's needed for a computer. You'd have the main integral parts of what's necessary for a computer to run. So whether it's the CPU, the hard drive, the RAM, the motherboard, or the power supply, they're all integral in a computer. So next time you're binge watching Netflix on your phone, it begins to feel warm, or you're wondering why your computer is taking a while to load a website, or you're looking to buy a new computer and you're wondering why different CPUs and amount of RAM and how big the hard drive is important, hopefully you'll remember some of what I've said here today. Thank you.